me. I thought we were going to talk about Trump, but I have a whole bunch of stuff about him. But I don't want to get into it.
Go ahead.
No. Well, no. There's no setup to it, so I don't really want to do
it. You prepared it now, so
no.
I'm happy to entertain it.
I want to thank you for letting me listen to Dan Crenshaw, because I've actually gone and listened to some of the stuff he says.
Yeah.
So now, if I take my whole Trump and left and right, I've come up with kind of a conclusion to what I'm thinking here. I can give him the grace because I feel like he knew about it, but he didn't want to shut down the country because they didn't have the cases. And nobody was thinking about shutting down the country. They were just waiting for him to do something. So regardless if he was a week behind or not of shutting things down, it's more of what he hasn't done that's kind of made me go. Because you look at all these reporters, they're just hammering him for the same shit. He keeps deflecting. Yeah. And they keep attacking the left, and the right keeps attacking. You know what I mean? So the questions these people aren't asking him is he keeps blaming the Obama administration. But if you've had 3 years in office and you didn't check the stockpiles yourself, or you didn't check, do some kind of okay, we're going to scrap this funding, but we should check what's in our stockpiles. You can't just all of a sudden say, oh, there's a pandemic, we've got nothing in our stockpiles. And the whole thing with testing, I just feel like if he would have accepted responsibility somewhere in the first month of this is what, we should have probably shut down things sooner, or I take responsibility for this, but I've put out the Defense Act and I'm going to start making this, and doing this because the testing, I don't think they just started it till last week, because I think the governors put pressure on them to actually come up with the testing. And you know how he came up with that list of labs? The labs?
Yeah.
For each state, and said the governor of Maryland, he doesn't know what he's doing. Well, those are federal labs in the states. So the federal government is responsible for them. So it's just he's pushing blame on certain things now. He's in more trouble now than he was at the start, from what I gather with Crenshaw is protecting the right. But I get what he's saying. He does make a lot of good points. He's a well-spoken guy.
Yeah.
And he does do what he needs. He is saying what he needs to say, but I don't think the reporters are asking him the right questions. They're never going to get him to admit to take responsibility. Why don't you ask him questions about why he didn't do certain things about Obama's administration? Why don't you ask him certain questions about, because I know the testing, he pushed that off to the governors because he knew it was going to cost too much money. I don't know. That's my rant.
No, that's good. Well, frankly, I didn't tell you about Dan Crenshaw when we chatted last time.
No.
But I appreciated his take. Yes. That's why I wanted to share that with you, is because, like I said, it's overwhelming left-wing media versus Fox News. And you always say to me, okay, Fox News. But I'm like, where else do I go, honestly, to just look for conservative? So then I found Crenshaw. And then actually, did I send you him debunking or kind of...
Yeah.
What looks in my opinion, shutting down Bill Maher? Why should my...
Yeah. No, I've seen that. I agree that they're trying to put way too much on him when they should. If they went after the simple things with Trump, he would blow up. Look at the mass tweets he did today and all that other stuff. All the tweets he's done before. The first time he should be in really hot water is lying to the people about testing and how to get the testing done and why we're not getting testing done. But also, I think he doesn't want to get the testing done because the testing will show the actual numbers of the deaths and the actual number of infections. Because really, they don't test that many, and when you don't test as many, you're not going to show as many numbers, right? But he shut down Bill Maher pretty good.
Well, just before I guess we move on to that part, so you're saying Trump intentionally doesn't care?
Yeah, I don't think
he doesn't want to help.
Well, okay,
get tested. He'd rather not take the blame than help.
So
tested.
So when he went, so let me back this up. When he went to go tell Congress that he had total absolute authority, and he didn't read the Constitution, and he knew the governors had power. Why was he trying to liberate these states after he said, okay, I'm going to throw out this guideline? He threw out his guideline, and then less than 24 hours later, there's people protesting for the first time throughout this whole thing and that's making the governors open up is the protests. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's him showing total power. Like, he might not have it in the Constitution, but he has it in a way to force these governors to open because he's putting people at risk because he's not stopping. Like, Casey once made a comment about, like, okay, I get it, it's your right to protest, but this is the time for the country to come together and for us to stay at home until we can get the guidelines unrestricted. And the quicker we do that, he hasn't once come out and said that. He's playing his own game, and I think a lot of this, like in the testing, he's pushing back on the governors because he's trying to make the governors fail because it's an election year. I just feel like,
okay, I see.
Like how he's kind of pushed things. Like, when he doesn't get his way, he bullies his way, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's all my opinion, but
yeah,
that's what I feel.
That's the only thing I would say is
that he's done wrong. After listening
between
to
the
Crenshaw,
two parties, the governor and the president, it's the president who has the limelight on him and his response. Yeah. My question is always this, just like Dan Crenshaw, for the benefit of the doubt here, I don't know what the governors are saying. And I do believe when Trump calls out governors, I think it's because they're not cooperating or butting heads. Now, does that mean Trump's right? No, I don't think so. But I think he uses the media when everyone's punching at him. He punches back by calling out governors and so on. So you could very well be right. All I would say is, like, the thing is, they never highlight or show the governor, or maybe they're doing something that can't be in the media, and it's conversations that they've had with each other.
Well, did you hear? Well, it's the governor of Maryland went and acquired 500,000 test kits from South Korea behind Trump's back.
Oh, on their own.
Because Trump's saying, and Trump called him out, but he's saying, no, like, he doesn't. Trump goes, he has a list of all these facilities, and if he use the capacity of them, but they don't have the swabs, and it's just like, there's only one company making swabs in the United States. Meanwhile, if they put that Defense Production Act in, they would, like, when they said they did, and they used it 17 times. Yeah, he's talking about how many ventilators he has. That's great, but I'm doing Trump right now. But he doesn't have the testing. He doesn't have the swabs. I think they just started making this stuff a week ago, because he says in 2 to 3 weeks they're going to have more of the stuff by the millions. I think they were late on using the Defense Production Act to produce stuff, and I believe that he was trying to put it on the governors, but the governors, it's like a bidding war. 50 states going to one place to try and get stuff they need to curb, when really it's like the federal. That's where he should step in and unify the country. But I think he still thinks he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems pretty dicey. I think he's lost the independent vote.
So, but you think his interest is saving face for the election, not the best interest of the country?
Well, I think saving face for the election and the people that because there was also something else. We should probably talk about it the next time, but there's something else that came out about the whole impeachment thing again, about how there was some information misled or whatever from the GOP or whatever.
Okay.
I didn't quite get to read it. It just came across my eyes before we came on, but.
Well, why is that relevant now? Like,
because maybe the GOP or the 45 is trying to change their tune. Maybe they want them out.
Yeah, but in the middle of when they should be taking care of the population.
Yeah, this is American politics for you, bud.
Okay, hold on. Let's cover. No, I don't disagree. We don't have all the facts. That's all. And
yeah, no, we don't.
Let me come back here. Look, I know I'm trying to present information like Dan Crenshaw does. That's just my style. I just believe in that.
Well, he does a really good job.
And he calls it grace. Okay. And I call it to be objective, because I try to see it from both sides of the story. And I don't want to, I'm sure I come across as a Trump supporter, but at the end of the day, this is my point.
Actually, no, because I've listened to Crenshaw quite a bit in the last few days since we last talked, and you know what? He's got a lot of good things to say, and you know what? And then I take a look.
I don't agree all the time with him, and he said it's not my style, but it's like it's just not a way to operate. And let me just finish.
No,
my problem is not the fact. It is. It's constant attack, and it's like the irony is they're claiming that Trump is not acting in the best interests of the population, but are they acting in the best interests of the population?
Exactly.
But they're constantly calling him out. So
but I think they're
interested. They want to see him lose,
yes,
more than they want to see him do what's right. And what they fail to see, or anybody that just like, and this goes in general, like when you root against people from winning, you're like, but if you want them to lose, that means you lose too. You know, like we should encourage people to win because that's a win for everybody. Anyone that wants success in the win should want someone else to win because it's proof that you can do it too. But I think their whole mandate is to divide and about losing more than the overall welfare. So,
and after listening to Dan and talking with you, I kind of realized that. But what my thing is what the left is not doing is they're not asking Trump the right questions.
Okay.
They're asking him the same questions. Do you think you started late? He didn't, regardless if he started late. That's not what you should be asking. You should be asking him what he's doing about this. They're still 2 days behind his answers. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they need to get ahead of him to actually, if they want to expose him or show that he's not as smart as they think he is, or to make him fumble, they need to get ahead of him. Because I think he's always been a step ahead of them.
So that's proof that they're all on the same team because they're not really trying. They're not.
Well, because they've never attacked him they attack him about Obama, but they say, why did you cut spending? Now, he's been there for 3 years. I've not heard one question say, why didn't you check the stockpiles?
Yeah, because they really don't care to take it. They know to escalate it to a certain level, but they don't want to cut the head off. You know what I mean? Like,
but
they're asking enough incense in the population to create the butting of heads, but they don't need a complete war.
No,
they're getting the effect that they're intending. Because don't you think if they wanted to, they could expose his taxes and this and that? Like they could probably go full tilt and finish the job. But that's just proof to me that they're all in it together.
You know what?
Pelosi and Trump are probably best friends.
Well, probably.
Time, you know.
Yeah, having tea at Obama's house, but whatever. I just think that when his taxes are like any conspiracy theory, like if you they'll be released 60 years after he died. You know what I mean? Like it's like Area 51 is taxes.
Yeah, all the JFK notes and files.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the J. Edgar Hoover files are just as important as Trump's taxes over the last 10 years.
Obama's birth certificate. There's always some kind of artifact that comes up, and it's like, okay, let's hammer it because the general population doesn't know any better, and it's enough for them to get incensed about it. And acts like 9/11 are so egregious that you don't want to believe that it's a conspiracy theory. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not giving credence to it. And so is take your mind to that the coronavirus is a biological warfare. That someone is so devoid of feelings for other people that they actually can enable themselves to plant the coronavirus. Okay?
The only theory
the thought is so egregious that most people are just like, no, it can't be planted. So they don't even let their minds go there. You know what I mean?
But I honestly think, if anything, I think if China and Russia wanted to get a bigger play on the Western world economics, this is something they would do. Like they would hatch something together, and I wouldn't be surprised if Trump was in on it. But you don't know the extent of these things. It's just like me saying.
What I'm saying is, to most people, they so quickly talk you out of it, to even consider it. It's just like not being able to have a full conversation with some people. You know who you can feel it out with and have that conversation. You know who will just shut it off. You know who will explore it, because like I said, you think the people that are running on this playbook are giving the real Easter eggs so you can get it out? No chance.
And it's and sometimes the most outrageous things are non-believable, which make them believable.
which could give them some credibility because, this was my favorite comedian, Patrice O'Neill, said it years ago.
You mean diabetes?
Because, it was diabetes, yes, that took him. No, he had a stroke. But no.
Too soon?
He would talk about, Osama bin Laden, and 9/11 and all these various conspiracies, and the people that talk about them, like Alex Jones, who got shut down, and Farrakhan, the way they deliver it is so like bat, crazy. It's like you look at them and you're like, I can't believe it, because you're so hysterical. You don't stop screaming, and like you're nonstop, and your energy is like crazy. You can't deliver it like a normal person. It's like a well-written argument should be point-proof explanation, right? Well, these guys don't do it that way. So the average person wants point-proof explanation. Even if they do give it to you and cite a resource or show you something, you just like constantly like, well, but you're crazy, so it doesn't matter if you can validate it.
Yeah,
so
some people,
guys that actually deliver the news, that kind of news, it's like, well, it's Alex Jones. He can't stop ranting. I can't believe.
Sounds like Fox News.
Yeah, whatever. So
no, I'm just
all
kidding.
of them look hysterical, right? Like at the end of the day. And actually, when you study them and you watch a Don Lemon and Sean Hannity, and you watch the Angle, I forgot her name.
Jewel.
The other girl with the dark short hair, Rachel Maddow. Like you watch them, and it's like even like the tonality. There's so much sarcasm and like other different tones that are like, well, I can't believe they did this, and they're doing that.
Not again. Like, here we go again.
Yeah. Like you see the eye rolls and the icks and so it's like, everybody's doing it. I think that's why TV's done. Like people want social and YouTube and podcasting and other stuff because it's organic. It's real. I don't have a script. No one told me to say this tonight. Like same with you.
No, I don't know. I did say I wanted to.
No, well, you studied something, but you know what I mean? Like no one is, you're not a puppet to someone to deliver their message.
No. My whole
feelings.
Yeah, my whole theory is it's not my country. I do care what happens because it does affect a lot of other countries, but I do think that Trump is a danger to himself and the society. That's just my opinion. But after listening to Crenshaw, it made me realize about what he did wrong, and instead about what they're talking about he did wrong. Because what they're shooting media at, to me, it doesn't make much sense when they're really not asking the right questions, and they're not focusing on what he's doing next. Because they should be focusing on, like I don't even know why he has like 12 people on his staff. I don't know why they haven't taken his phone away from him when they shove him into his bedroom at night. Because in all honesty, he tweets from 9:30 at night till like 1 in the morning, just all bittered pants, while he's walking around in his underwear.
So don't you think that's all part of the shtick?
Yeah, but I think what he's tweeting about is he's not getting any general. This is his actual true thoughts, because he's not with his advisors. His advisors have actually gone home maybe to catch a few hours of sleep before they got to come back. So this is him thinking on his own, and this is what the man really acts like. And I don't think anyone's really asked that question.
I don't think he listens to his advisors during.
I don't think he listens to himself sometimes. That inner voice in his head. I shouldn't do this.
Fuck it. Like he's playing the role constantly. So he's the ideal guy to play that role. I think he was probably handpicked for that, because don't you find it interesting? Like it alternates. Like eloquent. Well-spoken, probably one of the most well-spoken public speakers is Bill Clinton. And then you stagger him between the Bushes and Reagan, like you see his quirkiness, and then Obama, eloquence again. And then you had goofy George Bush, the second one, Jr. And then now you got Trump. You know what I mean? Like the alternate,
sleepy one,
right? Like fool me once, you never fool me again. Like,
yeah,
like it's
the big pause. People,
but it's almost becoming like you can see the formula.
All right. I get it. Are we playing this clip on Maher or what? You got it queued up for like 20 minutes and we went off on a rant.
Kept going. I go with the flow.
Okay. God, he's so cool with that one eye patch.
I must tell you, I first became aware of you, as I think many Americans did, when Pete Davidson of Saturday Night Live made that joke about you. And I have to tell you, I am such a fan of what you said, because you never hear that in American life. You said, look, it was wrong, but...
I wonder what he said.
No, and we both share this disdain for victim culture and for lots of stuff, trophy syndrome. I hope I have some...
He just said he took an SNL spoof about him with the eye patch. He's a veteran of the Navy SEALs. Yeah. I'm not sure the story of how that happened to him, but... well, anyways, Bill Maher peppered him with some jabs here, gave him a compliment first, probably try to make him comfortable before he stick the knife in his back.
But Crenshaw looks like he's ready.
Oh yeah, Crenshaw's ready. He does this. He did this on Rogan's podcast. He does this on his own podcast, and he knows who Bill Maher is. He was going to do it live with them, so he's not going to show up ill-prepared. Navy SEAL. Come on.
Yeah, kill you in your sleep.
Okay, here we go. Because this is exactly what Maher wants to do. He wants to point out, okay, here's the mistakes, and then...
calls out the outward assignment of blame, can be such a supporter of a president who does nothing but pass the buck, lie, finger point, shirk responsibility. Tell me how you can support someone with your background, someone like that.
Yeah. It didn't take long for Trump to come up. I would support the country, right? And the president's success is certainly tied to the success of the country. I support his policy agenda. When I disagree with his policy agenda, I openly disagree with it. This isn't, Republicans always get asked this question, and there's this.
Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. I need to get to where Maher discusses what he thinks he did wrong.
The person who is the leader of the country at a time of crisis, and we have to go through what he actually has done. This is important stuff. It's about life and death, and it's about our economy and everything that's really important. It's not tweets and it's not style. Let's just go through the timeline, okay? Because he was warned. This did not have to happen. Alex Azar, his Health and Human Services guy, January 18th, he warned him about this. And again, on January 30th, Trump said he was being an alarmist. Peter Navarro, somebody else who talks to Trump a lot, told him directly, January 29th, you got to get ahead of this. February 10th.
2 days later, he implemented a restrictive travel ban from China, which he was widely criticized for. That same day, on January 31st, Nancy Pelosi proposed the No Ban Act, which would be congressional limitation on what President Trump's actually able to do with that travel restriction.
Okay, but he lies about that. First of all, he didn't.
How does he lie about it? What do you mean?
He said he stopped people coming in from.
I'd love to see him squirm. Because you're talking about the guy who's in Congress. Yeah, I've never understood Maher. He teeters, right? I'm like,
for a guy who
he does say he's in the center, and I get it because that's what he that's his shtick, that's his show, because he wants to be able to criticize both sides.
Yeah, and he's sitting there, he's well prepared, and he thinks that he's going to get Crenshaw, and Crenshaw's making him squirm hard.
Yeah, because
he's getting him agitated.
Yeah. He lies about that. I'm like, he turns away from the camera. He's like, oh man, here we go. I got a fight coming up.
He did not. He said he was ahead of it. 43 countries did it before we did. There are still people coming in from China. He only stopped foreign nationals.
Yeah, okay,
so I understand that point. Okay, other countries were having a ban on travel earlier. But they were exposed earlier too. And I think this is what the main thing that Crenshaw says here that I do agree with is, it was fact-finding, and it didn't hit home yet.
No, And that's where I've changed my tune and said that I feel like he could have saved a couple of days, maybe a week at the most of shutting things down.
Because it was like, is it acceptable for the whole country to shut down when there's only X amount of cases, right?
No, and in Corona time, that's not a lot of time.
Of course, but they didn't know that yet. And the other thing was, he said Pelosi instituted a no ban act or whatever it was, appeal that they couldn't even do. So he had limited powers as well, like to what he could bring to the floor.
And I don't know why Trump doesn't have Crenshaw on his team. He's probably the best asset he's got.
Yeah, that's a good point. But Trump wants to talk for himself, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to have someone smart beside him.
We're saying right now, but the reality is, it was about 40,000 people came in after that. These are U.S. citizens and green card holders and passport holders being repatriated. U.S. citizens. So you have to make the argument then that we shouldn't allow them in. I mean, it sounds to me like you're fully agreeing with President Trump on this when everybody else disagreed with him. And if you're saying that you wish that position had been more extreme, okay, fine. I mean, you apparently had foresight back then, but when nobody else did. But the fact is, if Joe Biden was in charge at that moment, he's already said he wouldn't have done it. He criticized it at the time. Nancy Pelosi actually proposed legislation to stop it.
Okay, but people are still coming in from China. It wasn't just foreign nationals, but let's get off that. Let me just go back to the timeline for a minute.
Oh, how convenient.
February 10th, after these warnings, he says it's going to go away in April with the heat because he had a hunch. February 25th, he goes to India. This is 4 days after the White House coronavirus task force said we're going to have to lock down the country, and Dr. Nancy Messonnier, who's in charge of the Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. Wait a second, let me just finish. She announced this on the 26th. On the 25th, that we're going to have to lock down the country. He said the next day, 15 people have it, and it's soon going to be close to zero. March 6th, he said anyone who wants a test can get it, which is still completely...
Let me stick to February.
Okay, so that's the one that you in particular address.
That's the only timeline date that he has lied about and has been able to deliver, because he blames Obama, but this is a new virus, and testing is obsolete from 4 years ago for like electronic finger testing and all that stuff, and it's a different virus. It's something that's not been around. So whether or not Obama had the shelves stocked, it wouldn't have made a difference. He would have had to come up with a new test for it. The only thing is if he knew he didn't have the swabs or the ventilators or the masks 3 years ago when he should have checked the stockpiles, he had time to build the stockpiles. I'm just saying those are the mistakes he made that aren't really at the forefront of things. Like everything else, the timeline, the Democrats probably would have done the same thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like Crenshaw's made me see that there's only a few things you could be mad at him for.
Completely wrong.
Go forward, because you mentioned February 25th. The day before, February 24th, that's when the administration requested $2.5 billion from Congress to fulfill CDC, NIH, and FDA funding to combat the virus and the potential spread of it. What happened right then? I'll tell you, because I was in Congress and I know what happened. Did we vote on a supplemental funding bill? No. Did we wait days to vote? No, still didn't vote on it. You know what we voted on later that week? Nancy Pelosi, the only thing she would put on the floor to vote on was a bill to ban flavored tobacco. That's what actually happened. It was only a week later that we actually voted on supplemental funding that the administration requested. Your criticism appears to be based in one thing, that Trump was overly optimistic. That's his style. Again, you can criticize it. That's fine. But it's not connected to the actions that were actually taken. Because if I back up even further, February 14th, CDC announces ongoing work with 5 laboratories to perform community-based influenza surveillance and study the spread of the virus. We're in a fact-finding mode in February. People forget this. People keep calling February this lost month. It's really not. That's an easy and cheap accusation because there's no big, bold moves taken like there was in January or like there was in March. But the reality is our government was working to create that test. Now, did they work as fast as we would have liked? And of course not. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which I'm happy to go into. By March 3rd, there was only 102 cases in the United States. And yet I'm hearing criticism that we should have been locked down weeks earlier. But would you think the American people would have accepted that with only 100 cases in the United States? Italy didn't lock down until March 10th. Spain, not until March 14th. UK, not until later in March. Places like Sweden's never locked down. And so I provide all of that context as we try to basically accuse this man of well, he's being accused of having blood on his hands. And context is so important here.
Well,
where he came through to me is like, okay, I mean,
there is another side
in front of him with all the dates because I could see him kind of reading it, but he came prepared. And
and that's the thing. He had to wait 5 minutes before he could talk, and he went back and shut down all of his dates. And the only one that doesn't and he's right. Trump is an optimist. I don't like him for it. And the testing, I would like to see what he has to say on the testing because there's a reason why Trump put it on the governors. And I think it's because the governors told him that they had power over him because he thinks he has total authority.
Yeah.
It comes down to a pushing match. And right. I think that's why the Liberate Michigan, and actually he didn't, because normal presidents I've seen in the past would calm the nation and tell them to listen, we're all going to do this together. But right now it's every man for themselves. All 50 states are battling for whatever they can get from the federal government and from wherever they can get it, which is kind of like chaos to me.
Right.
Oh
yeah, go ahead.
No, that's what makes him dangerous.
The points that Bill Maher making, I find some of them are based on opinion, and then Dan only answers in fact.
Yeah, that's what when watching Dan, it opened my eyes to go, okay, why am I getting mad at him for stuff that is basically, they were in a fact-finding thing in February. To say that he acted late, he might have acted, at the most 7 days late. Because that's what, we acted probably a week before they did.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? The timeline's pretty close. I think that the left, if they keep pushing this, they're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to make them look good and the left look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice
is about being optimistic. It's about being right. The world was aware of this. And since when does America take its lead from Italy and Spain?
Well, because those were where the outbreaks were happening.
I understand.
Right? I'm pointing it out again for context.
I understand.
If we're going to criticize these actions, we have to do it in the context of the facts they knew at the time. And so I'm just trying to be fair here. That I don't really care about defending him or his actions. I just care about letting people know the truth. And when people make these accusations, I have to ask them a question. Is the goal to make Trump look bad, or is the goal to get to the truth? Because there's two different sets of answers for that.
I like that.
Okay, but
so I think that's enough. But yeah, I think that's fair. Right?
Yeah, as long as nobody's talking moistly to each other, we're all good.
Moistly. When did Trudeau say that? What was the context? Was that a long time ago, or was it recently?
It was recently. He was talking about moistly. He said in an interview, you can wear a mask and try not to speak moistly to people. And then as soon as he said, he says, "Oh, I don't think that was a good thing to say." But he said, "Don't speak moistly to each other."
Whatever. I mean, when you're talking off the cuff or saying something
that's like that thing on Facebook, the Dos Equis guy. Sometimes I don't speak moistly. I usually don't speak moistly to people, but when I do, I'm drinking out of one of those soda water bottle thingies. Which isn't the whole
meme, and it's funny because I thought it was something he said a while ago. He did some cheesy, I don't know, flirt or something like that, and he misused the word, but I guess he misused it in one of his conferences.
I think we should probably send out some love to the people in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, wow, tragic and terrible. It's definitely with the gun laws here and conservatism with respect to that. You just don't expect mass shooting like that. That's crazy. So this guy, he disguised, he impersonated a police officer vehicle.
Great, Gabriel Wortman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, 19 people dead, I think.
Oh, is it 19 now, including our CMP officer, right?
Yep.
One was injured and another was killed.
I don't think there's many details out yet. They've got the deaths, but I don't remember. I just know the number, but I just know that they don't know really why he did it.
Yeah.
Yet. It hasn't come out yet, but
no.
Sad. Send our love there.
Yeah, definitely. The people of Nova Scotia, small town Nova Scotia, they're definitely in our thoughts and prayers. You never want to hear anything like that, and
No.
ever. And it's easy to point blame. This is something that in the States it seems like they would jump on the administration for with respect to gun laws, right? But here, because they are so strict, it's like, did they find out what kind of guns he was using?
I think he had more than one, but I think, well, because Trudeau's speech today, he talked about it, and then he went into his gun law restrictions that he's adding. Like, that's not a time to pull politics. Send your love to the people of Nova Scotia. Say something nice.
Yep.
Give the COVID speech, and roll out your gun package when you go to run.
Yeah, fair enough. But it's going to come up, right? So
yeah, it is something that's going to come up. But like I said,
slide in, fair enough. Maybe someone else or on something separate, but not at the time of sending condolences and heartfelt condolences to the families. But 19, and there were some structural buildings, like I guess maybe homes, but buildings were set on fire as well.
Yeah,
everyone was being self-isolated anyway, but they were told to stay in their basements. It was, yeah.
It must have. That's like, nobody knows why he did it though. That's the question.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if they were to, because the newspapers might find out and suggest it, and maybe they say mental health or PTSD or this and that, and people will jump on it and speculate and so on. So the bottom line is no answer is going to be
good enough to anybody.
Yeah, you just don't want to think people die for no reason and are killed for any reason or no reason.
No,
you don't want to think that you can just live your life and then just be, taken out by something like for no reason, right? And I think that's why our natural instinct is to try to find out why, what happened.
Yeah, and
it'll ever justify it, but it's our.
Can you remember the last time this ever happened?
Here
in Canada? Yeah.
Well, from what I read in the paper, the reason why the gun laws became more strict was it was in Montreal, Quebec.
In the 80s.
School. Yeah, with
23 engineers. Yeah.
And I think this man was it was a very a stand against women being in the field and studying, and it was his way of protest. Well, he was killed in it too, or did he kill himself?
I can't remember, but so it's been 40 years since we've had something like this crazy happen.
And there was just a little bit less than the 19 that happened last Saturday, but I think it was 13 or 14, and that was the biggest.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Here,
2020 came in like thunder.
This year's really sucked, man.
2020,
barely.
They say 2020 vision, but nobody wants to see what happens in 2020. We just all want to get to.
Again, I can't help but bring it up, but 9/11, 2020, are there always numbers surrounding events like this? But irrespective, whatever's going on, it really sucks. So
yeah, 911, 2020. The 411. I don't want to see 411.
Yeah, how did Monday 420 go for the pot smokers?
I don't know.
It's not what it used to be, right? Because of legalization here.
Oh yeah, I got a joke for that. Why didn't the lifeguard save the hippie? Because he's too far out, man.
But you gotta laugh to keep from crying, right? So.
Because it's so sad. Thanks, bud.
No, not the joke. Just about the situation, being on lock. It's hard not to talk about it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's what you deal with every single day. You're not on your same routine, and yes, there's positives that can come around it. Obviously, being with family, home cooked meals, more exercise, fresh air, time to think, time to re-energize, what have you. But there's so much. It's about freedom, and that's the goals that first and foremost we should have, because we can't personally grow as individuals when you're limited to, it's free. Like, again, yeah, when your freedom gets impeded, like it's a serious threat, and it's a serious threat to like mental health.
Yeah, mental health will be the biggest thing to come out of this.
Especially I think of people that, like my mom, who's alone, my mother-in-law, they're alone all the time. And I suppose they get used to it, living that lifestyle. But when you are isolated and you have to stay home, right? Like that's a totally different. And
you can't see your grandchildren. You can't see, you know what I mean? Like it's stuff you've been waiting to do, and now you're sitting and you can't do any of it.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I see that. It hurts them when we can just FaceTime or what have you, with my son, like, cause they're used to both get to watch him one day a week. Right? We take him to, the grandma's Tuesdays and Thursdays. They each get their day with him, and they love that. They cherish it. It's not even enough. And
I think he loves it too, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's helpful
spoiled.
to have a relationship with them, be spoiled, and build some self-confidence, but then when they can't have that, like for him, he doesn't understand. He's 3. He just goes with the flow. But if he was older, like I was talking to my cousin and his kids, 9, 10, it's like they get it now. They were going to school. They had the freedom. They get like what going to stores and stuff like are about, going to school, going to wherever, parks, having their extracurricular activities, and they just can't do them.
Or sports.
Tell them we just can't do it, and you tell them, and they're like, they won't get it.
No.
So
no,
it's tough. It's trying time. Hopefully, it's done soon. Do you think so? Do you think end of May, June, July, or do you think we're pushing it to the fall?
I think we might, if we stay strong for the next 2 weeks, because a day in Corona time feels like a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like or 2 days feels like a week.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if we can get through to the middle of May and we're still doing good, I think we could see stuff opening up come the end of May.
Gradually, right?
Yeah, gradually. Like they're not going to open the floodgates, but I still think parks and stuff are going to be closed. But social distancing will be implemented. And I think that you're going to see the essential list get bigger. I think you're going to see people being able to go back to work, but workplaces will have to have crafty ways of doing things. Maybe depends on how well we flatten the curve, because they might like I don't know how the states are going to do construction with more than 15, 20 guys on a job site and one washer. Like, oh
yeah, like you see the standards of cleanliness and sanitation. That's right. Like you don't even think about it. It's just
like this. There's so many small things that you would have to see. So that's like to reopen the country. It's like, okay, now that we flatten the curve, can we open barbershops? Yeah. Like I think restaurants will be able to open, but they might say, okay, well, we're going to open restaurants, but seating will be capacity won't be full. You stagger your seating for the first month, but we're opening you up. Get your people back in. At the bars will be shut down because you're not sitting at the bar. You're sitting in a table, an area. They can spray it down, clean it after you leave. You know what I mean? Like there's just going to be small little things that might have to come into. You got to take a look at every task for every day. Like it's like going anywhere. It's like, do you think Canadian Tires will be open? They might still do the online service stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might do it for.
They're having a hard time fulfilling like even the curbside pickup.
Well, the funny part is people might not be working, but people haven't really stopped spending money yet, because really it feels like forever, but it's maybe only been a month and a half for most, and maybe 3 weeks to a month for some, because I've only been out for 2 weeks.
Okay.
But it feels like I've been out for 2 months.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I mean, and I got to say, there's people out there too that are looking for like the bottom feeder guys, looking for people to take advantage of people in bad situations. You're not going to see that for a while. Like, I know there's people that were already living paycheck to paycheck, et cetera. But unfortunately, there's a a group, a niche of people that are out there looking for those who are going to, have to make tough decisions and, leave their house. They've stopped paying for the rent or the mortgage, and they're going to have irreparable credit damage. Anyways, I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up. There's people that think like this last couple weeks, I think 5 weeks now, that or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm naive, and it is coming. But
no, I think 2 more weeks we will see stuff open up.
Mm-hmm. But I think what I'm trying to say is, am I downplaying the severity of it? Because maybe we both are. We don't know. A lot of people are in a situation where like this is really financially breaking them.
Yeah, but like if Trudeau and the government say what they're going to do, they should be able to help people. Like they've already, first thing they came in is made people not be able to get evicted, so they can't pay rent. It'll come to somebody, and then they'll have to figure it out from there. Whether the government will pay the renter or whatever. Right. Like there's so many small things.
Forbearance, deferring mortgage payments, etc. So of course, there's stuff in place. That's for sure. But sometimes there's stuff. There's people already on the fringe going into this without the virus.
Well, they also lifted a thing with people who were on unemployment that ran out, and then this happened. Mm-hmm. They were saying that that's exempt now. You can go on the curb fund anyways. So people are getting it regardless if they were if they made over 5,000 in the last so many months, or right, you know what I mean? So they were allowed to get the curb fund and that's supposed to last 3 months, I think. Right. So I think that they'll end it earlier, because I don't think they'll need to. Like some people might not. Well, that's the thing. I think they'll open up. Like, see, someone like me will probably go back to work, and other people might not be able to go back to work until their businesses get things running. Mm-hmm. Because there's some construction companies that'll have to be like, okay, well, we got to wait till this job starts. Now that we finished everything waiting and we had this much time off, then, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be so many different scenarios. That's why it's going to play over the next 3 months. But I think they're going to open up. I think sports will be open up in June.
Oh, wow.
Depending on what happens in the States, though. Because if they're going to have the second coming of the... If they have the second coming of the virus with all these protests, then who knows how much delayed they're going to be.
A lot will change. We'll see, and we'll cover it. And we'll stay on top of it. And I think that's right. It's going to.
Well, I'm going to watch Jordan, and
good.
I'm going to watch this documentary tonight. And then I'm going to
take notes.
I'm going to take notes and give you my honest opinion.
Good.
Give you the old opinion.
And there's no shortage of that from you.
No,
that's why Thanks for coming back on.
Thanks, buddy.
How was it for the second run? Go at it. Feeling good every time?
I feel it great because it's fixing the addiction I have of being bored.
Oh, that's the only reason you're here.
No, I was looking forward to it all day. I had 2 naps.
Well, there you go. Well, you came prepared, and it felt like a little bit more natural than when we recorded on Saturday. So welcome back. Glad to have you back. I'm glad you are addicted, and we're filling your boredom with something. And same to our listeners. Thanks for listening to the podcast and now watching the show. Subscribe, like, and comments. Yep, and hopefully,
my 8 fans out there will watch this again.
Hey, it starts with 1, right? Like it's this thing. I can't even use the word anymore. Can you use viral as a word? Like that came up with another show. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Look for more material from us. Like I said, I try to release stuff almost every day between the Podcast and Chill, and the Podcast and Chill show. But it's amazing. We're enjoying what we're doing. I'm glad to have Adam back. I'll be recording with Chris again this week, so look out for that. And other special guests lined up through the week. And as things keep coming, so stick with us. I hope you're looking forward to our coverage again of whatever it is we get into. But we certainly you guys do too. What's your social media handle? What do you go? Is it just your name at?
For what? All I got is Facebook right
Twitter?
now.
Okay, so you can find Adam.
I do have Twitter, but I'll have to update my account.
Okay, isn't it Penguins #1 1981 or something?
No, you always bring that in my face. Go Lemieux.
Yeah, we should talk about funny emails another time. So, yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Podcast and Chill, the Neil Quinto Experience podcast, special edition today, the best podcast you never heard of until now. Adam Marsders, I'm Neil Quinto. Thanks very much. Salute you guys. Love you. Good night.
Good night.